Welcome everybody. Again, we're going to have a fun video here that we're going to do extreme beginners drawing. I thought we could do maybe some simple paint brushes here. So we'll take these two paint brushes essentially, and we're going to set them up on our table in front of us over here. So it's going to be out of sight really. Maybe we can leave it here in view. Let's try doing that. The only problem is I have my table is on a slight angle, so these are starting to move around a little bit. I'll probably try to take a tiny bit of tape, some artist tape here, and we'll just maybe I'll wrap this tape up a little bit. Like so. We'll do this larger square brush first. So I'm going to put it so we could see it in the screen here, like that. That looks good. So I'm going to put that tape on the bottom of it, like so. And then I want to put it in view here so you can see it, like that. Okay, that's one. And we'll take our second brush here. Then we'll do the same thing. We'll take some tape, artist tape, and just fold it around so that it's sticky on all sides. Then we'll put it on the back of the brush like so. And then we'll just line up our brush over here and say we're going to put it here. And let me maybe move this over here a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to begin drawing. This technique or method that I'm going to use now can really be helpful if you're just starting out, like you're really still a little bit shaky with doing, let's say, straight lines. I used to do this a lot years ago. I find I can do okay with maybe doing some straight lines when it's like a brush. Paint brushes are they have different curves and things to them, so they don't always look, or they're not that difficult to kind of draw straight in a sense, but we can always use a ruler, and we'll just get ourselves a straight line across here. Very lightly though, just a very, very light straight line. You can barely see that. Let me make it a little darker. Okay, you can see that. And then we'll do a second one over here for our other brush, like so. Like that. So we can make two lines, one for each brush, and this will keep us kind of on straight course here. Once we're done drawing with our pen, we're going to use a Sharpie marker. For this drawing, let's use a Sharpie marker. And we'll use an eraser, a kneaded eraser. Once we're done doing the Sharpie marker, we can erase the pencil lines. But now that you can kind of see what I did here, I'm going to erase it a little bit. And you can even do it lighter than that. As long as you can see the line at home on your paper, make it ever so slightly light so it's easier to erase when you're done doing your Sharpie pen drawing over the top of these. But basically I'm going to use them to kind of keep on track for my brush. So I'm going to start out with the larger flat brush up here, and I'm just going to center the brush on the line. So I'm going to go a little bit up here and a little bit here to get this metal part right here, the ferrule of the brush. So once I have that, that's really like my starting point. It really is a good starting point, I think. And then what I can do is I can start off with the hairs of the brush, and they're pretty much even, like so. Like that. So it's basically a rectangle. The hairs of the brush, like so. And then what I can do is I can kind of look right here and say, judge the ferrule compared to the brush hairs. It's about the same, a little bit larger. So this metal ferrule here is larger than the brushes. So I could even take my pencil and say, okay, if this brush here is, we can almost use this as a as a guide. So we can just use this as our guide, and we can say, okay, that's right. The tip of my finger is where the ferrule starts. So we use that, and it looks good. So we have our first measurement. Then we say here, what is this? This is to the ferrule is about to here. So I hold that with my pointer finger, just like that. I don't move it. I keep it still. And I say, okay, right there is, and I use my other pointer finger. I put my other pointer finger down, and that's where that ferrule starts, where the wood is, the wood handle. So you can kind of see how that works. I'm just using, just matching it up. Instead of taking the brush itself and putting it over here and tracing it, which you can do too. If you want it for fun, you can just take a brush like this, tape it down to your paper, and just do a trace around it. You can do that just for fun. But to draw it like we're going to do here, we're just going to use the same. We don't have to enlarge our scale or make our scale smaller. We're going to use the same exact measurements. So it's just a matter of, you could even take a ruler like this and say, okay, let's use this ruler. How much is the brush hair is 1 inch. And we come over here and say, okay, 1 inch. The ferrule is 1 inch and 7/8. 1 inch 7/8. So, and then if you don't want to use the ruler, you can just use this this way. This is another way of using. It's like you're making your own ruler by just using your pointer finger right there and saying, okay, that's the tip here. That's the other, where the metal starts. That's your brush hairs. Got that. Come over here, you say, okay, tip of the pen cap, and then the ferrule is right here. So I use my finger there, lift it up, bring it over, set it in place, and there we have it. That's the other metal tip there, and you just do the rest the same. And then over here, you can take your pen and say, how much is the rest of the brush? And it's just a little bit less than this full pen. So I just take this here, put this down, and say, okay, it's a little bit less than this. And that's the end of our brush there. And that's all. It's really that simple. And then we're just going to start here and say, okay, we've got our hash marks from where we can start and stop. And then we're going to start going this way. And now we have these couple of crimps on our ferrule. Those are the crimps that crimp it to the wood and the hairs together. So we just do this. And then we do that there. And then we can go this way, like so. Then we can do that's the first. That's the second one. And then this is the third one here. Like that. Then we go like so, and we make this come out a little bit. It gets a little wider there. And then it starts to come back this way. And then we can start over here again. It might be easier to start back over this way. And then start to slim it down this way here. And there we have it. So that's our first brush. That's completed. And then we can make our stripe on the back here. Like that. And then the writing is not so much important. I don't think you have to worry about that. You could put the writing on if you want, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this. And I might paint this, not paint it, but color it in with my pen. And then I just erase the line a little bit. But I don't even think we're going to see that line so much. We're going to color in so we're going to maybe do some lines over here for our brush. Some lighter lines, so I'm very lightly touching the pen to the paper, and I'm not pressing down too hard, and I'm kind of using quite a bit of an angle on my pen like this, almost like usually when you draw with your pen, you're kind of like this, straight up and down. You get those darker lines. And then here, if you turn your pen on an angle like this, you can get those lighter lines for the hairs of the brush, because the hairs of the brush are very, very fine. There we have it. Then there's a little bit of a shadow over here. I don't think I'm going to worry with that too much. And then the rest, we can this here is a little darker, so maybe we can color this in. We'll shade this in. And this is just a fun time of, let's get one medium tone on here, like let's hash this in, and then we can darken it up on the bottom and top. As you'll see, the shadowing is a little darker on the sides. Okay, and the same over here. Now it's a little darker over here. So now I'm going to do a little bit darker. I'm going over with a second bit of that light shading we were doing for this. You can also make a better, smoother line on the top of your brush if you want, while you're doing this second line here, or the second shading. What I'm trying to, you can kind of see it's darker on over here and over here, and it's a little bit lighter across the center. So we're going to try to capture that a little bit here. Just a little bit. It actually looks really good if we do that. Does that make sense? If we just add that little bit of light, it does look a little better than just maybe shading it just once and leaving it as it is. And again, I'm going to straighten some of these, smooth out some of these lines that I did before that don't look as good as they could. If we could, we always usually have another bit of chance to get things a little more accurate when we're doing pen drawings and pencil drawings. Now it does look kind of like, you know, it's just some hashing to have fun, to do a little quick study. It'd look better with paint for sure, with watercolor paint. So you could even draw this on watercolor paper and then just paint in your dark and light. Paint your colors, and you could also add the gold here and leave this white. This is kind of like a goldish color, very, very light. It's like a silver really, and this is like a golden kind of green hairs there. Okay, let's start our second brush. I will just take a quick break since we did this first brush here. I try to just take a quick break. Maybe I'll do a little shadowing here, like that. And then sometimes trying to do reflections and things with like metal. I just try to follow what I'm kind of seeing. I'm just seeing a little bit of a line there. And then we could even do the shadow under here. If you want to do the shadow under here, you do it really, really light, barely noticeable. I just try to follow what I'm seeing here. The shadow is over here, so it is protruding out from beyond this edge, the shadow underneath, and then it's pretty dark actually. It's very noticeable. And you can see it probably on the camera angle too. You can see it. It's a little different than what I see because I'm away from the camera. The camera's like this, looking straight down at the scene. I'm back away from my table here, standing, so it does look maybe a little different than what you might be seeing, but I definitely see shadows here, and it kind of, it's like this, and it goes like so. So it's a little bit smaller over here, and then it gets a little bit larger over here, the shadow. And again, we're practicing our 10 or 15 minutes a day. We've already got in our 10 or 15 minutes doing this one brush. Let's take a quick break just for like 2 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll do our second brush, and we'll have our project done for the day for our drawing project, doing 2 brushes, a brown brush and a flat brush, watercolor brushes. And hey, this is what it's all about, getting in our time. Put in those 10, 15 minutes every day. You can't believe how well you're going to actually pick up on drawing if you're just doing a few minutes a day just like this, and that's it. And you just put your pen and your pencil down, you come back the next day and you're working 10 to 15 minutes. If you can do more, great. But if you can only get about 15 or 20 minutes of time where you've got to do a lot of other things, you're busy. I know a lot of people have extremely hectic schedules, very busy. I'm that way too. I'm very busy. So, but doing 10, 15 minutes again is going to work great for you. Just try to just do it every day. Some days you might only be able to do 5 minutes, but that's fine. 5 minutes is still going to break that break the habit of skipping too many days. If you kind of just get in at least 5 minutes a day, and then some days you do maybe 10 or 20 minutes and a half an hour, but as long as you do at least 5 minutes a day, then you're really going to just set that habit of every day you're doing your practicing. Because it's just like if you played guitar or piano, or if you were a singer and you were an opera singer or a pop singer, the people that do all those, play instruments, and musicians and sports athletes, they all put in their practice. They get into the gym. If you're an athlete, like a pro football player, baseball, golfer, all these athletes, they're in the gym every day, 1-2 hours a day, without fail. Every day they're there working out. And that's why, they have to be doing that to keep up their stamina, their strength, and keep building their skills and make sure their body's all finely tuned so that when they're out there performing their sports or their music, they're going to be at their top form. So you want to be at your top form when you're doing your artwork, and that's all you have to do is just remember, you got to get in at least 5 minutes a day. 10 or 15 is even better. And then maybe on the weekends, if you have a little more time, you do a little bit more, but at least 5 minutes a day, and that'll, again, keep your habits to just automatically every day. After a while, after you do this a couple months, 2-3 months, you'll have the habit and you'll just be doing it. Actually, scientists have studied that if you do something for 14 to 21 days straight, it becomes a habit. So if you drink one glass of water every day for 21 days and you make that a habit, after 21 days to a month, 30 days, you'll have the habit. You'll always be grabbing that glass of water or bottled water and having a glass of bottled water or a glass of water because you just made it a habit. So that's all it really is habits are actually just things you can actually train yourself to do. You have to actually do it though on a consistent basis, and daily is the best way to do it, every day. And it's just, if you do it again for 14 to 21 to 30 days, most all people will always create a new habit when they do that. So if you're going to do this every day for about, again, 20 to 30 days, it'll be a habit, and you'll watch. Every day you'll be going and grabbing your pen and saying, I got to do a drawing for 5 minutes. And you'll just do it automatically. You won't even be thinking about it. You'll always be like, oh, where's my pad? Where's my paper? Got to do it. And you'll get into the swing of it. Okay, so we'll come right back and we'll do this last watercolor brush here, and we'll be done for the day with our 10 to 15 minute exercise here. Okay, all right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back again, and we're going to actually start our second brush here, our second watercolor brush. And we were just talking about building our habits, 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's all it is. And here we're going to start this one here, this brush. So let's start the same way we did with this one. Let's start out with the tip of the ferrule of the brush, which is right where the brushes meet the metal ferrule. Let's start that one here. And this one is a little bit over. So let's kind of keep it the same as far as this brush is a little bit over from this one. So let's take this and come down here and say, okay, that's where the ferrule is, the beginning of the ferrule here, the tip of the ferrule. And then let's do the brush hairs. Brush hairs are about, I'm going to again scale this a little bit and say, okay, it's about right to that little ridge on my pen. I can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see it there. The ridge in the pen right there, where my fingernail is right there. So I'm going to take this and say, okay, where's that? I started my line here. So that's the tip of the metal ferrule right there. I put my line here, which is right there. Line it up there and then say, okay, that's the tip of the brush here, right there. Then I say it's very, very pointy, the brush, so let me start out the point like that. And then it flares out like this and goes into the brush. Like that. And it goes like this, like that. And there we go. I'll put a little bit of color into that with the black pen. There we have it. Now I might do this one a little differently. I'm going to leave this like this metal color. I'm not going to make this black maybe. I mean, we could do that. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll just stick with what we're looking at here. So we're going to go up here. This tapers up a little bit. And again, let me just take a quick how that's about here. So if I just go over here and say it goes to about there, and I just kind of get a visual on that and say, okay, there we go. Like that. And there's a little bit of waviness there, like so. Okay, there it is. And then we can do this. We can, maybe we can leave a little bit of light on the, a little bit of light on the, okay, I'm going to leave that little bit of light on the center of the ferrule. It's like a black, painted black enamel baked on paint that they use, or it could be, it might even be, I think it is painted. It's a painted metal. And we're going to pretend there's a little bit of light catching the top of it like that. That there. Okay, and then we're going to start with our brush here. And then we can look and say, okay, it's thinner here, it gets wide here, wider, and then it goes and it tapers down this way. So we're just noticing that it does get thinner here, wider, and then it tapers down. So then I'll take my pen and just gauge how long the handle is, and it's just past the S in Sharpie on the cap. So this cap has, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's a little script. It looks like they have a raised Sharpie script written on the cap, which is like a little extra design to the Sharpie pen, which is really nice. So I'm going to use that and say it's going to be a little bit past that S on the Sharpie, the word Sharpie on this thing. So okay, it's about there. I slide my pen this way and just go, okay, right about there. And that's about where the tip of the brush is. So now we're going to go, again, we said it gets a little wider here. About here is its widest point, and then it tapers down over here. So I'm going to go up here, kind of round it up a little bit, and then start rounding it back down that way. And that's about where we have the tip of the brush there. And then we can do the same thing here. We can just wide out here a little bit, and then it comes down this way. I think I over-exaggerated it, but that's okay. It looks all right. Like so. So I over-exaggerated the brush a little bit here, but it's okay. We'll do the number 6 here, like that. So this one we're going to do a little. Let's see if we can do the Simply Simmons here. And I think it's better to do it quick. And then over here, just, I'll make up my own writing over here. Just a little bit there, a little bit there. Good. A couple dots and dashes and something like that or other, and you're good. And there we have it. So now I'll leave this one white. I'm not going to do much shading to it. We could do a little. Looks like it is darker on the sides over here, like so. like that. Take your time a little more. If you find that you need to take more time with your shading, please do. We could even at this point say, you know what, we could always change our, you could always change things a little bit. While we're doing this, we could say, you know what, I'm going to use a little bit of a pencil, like a pencil here, and maybe I'll darken this up with that up here. And you can shade this in a little bit. Like that. And shade in the shadow a little more. Then you could try this exercise with just the pencil. So you would use just maybe the pencil to do the drawing just like we did with the pen. And then you just shade in with your pencil. And it would probably look a little better. I know it would look better if you're going to do everything in pencil. We're mixing it up here. We're doing the pencil and the pen. So that looks a little bit, it's not as pleasant as using just all the same drawing tool. But you can do some more additional shading with this. You can kind of get that little bit of that little bit of that crimp on the ferrule there. And then here it's darker. It's like that greenish gray. This is a little darker, so we can get this a little darker. And that's all. We're having a good time here. All right, so I hope everyone had a great time. Thanks so much for drawing with us. And I always say, if you're just new here, thanks so much for coming by. Great to have you. Hope you'll be coming back to do some more pencil drawings and pen drawings with us. I always mention, too, feel free to hit the subscribe button down on the right-hand side of the screen here. All that does really is it just lets you know when our new videos are coming out each week, so that you'll always just be notified by YouTube. It doesn't mean that you'll get any you won't get any text messages or emails or phone calls or any kind of silly nonsense like that. It's just basically, it'll just be an alert on your YouTube channel. When you go onto YouTube, you'll have a little notice on you'll see one of my videos right at the top of your list of videos that you might want to watch. So that's all it really does. And so this way we can keep in contact, and you can pick right up again and do another drawing with us or another painting. We do tons of paintings on my channel, nothing but watercolor paintings. We do every type of subject matter you can imagine as well. We do flower paintings, we do seascape paintings, beach paintings, we do landscape paintings with trees and barns and cool things like that. We do animals and birds and any kind of things, with dogs, cats. We do beautiful still life pictures with cups and saucers and flowers and fruits and vegetables and interesting things like that. So we do everything. We do figure painting too. We draw and paint the figure. We do the portrait type style drawing and painting of portraits. That's not my main thing I do all the time, but I definitely do. You can look back in my channel. I do have portrait work done. I've got quite a few figure paintings in my archives in my YouTube channel. So you just type in, I always tell everybody, if you want to just find anything, just type in my name, Chris Petri, and type in the subject you want to see. Beaches, boats. I've done a ton of boat paintings, so you can just type in Chris Petri, boats. You'll see 10, 20, 30 videos, all from the last 5 or 6 years. I've done, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on all these subjects. So have a great time with it. Go back, check out my old videos if you want. My newer videos are better. I use better equipment nowadays. When I first started, I started with a cell phone, using a cell phone actually to create my videos, and then I've upgraded now and I have really good camera equipment and good lighting and better microphones and things like that. So, but I'm really happy you're here. Keep coming back. Peruse through my old stuff if you want, but stick with us every week here by subscribing. You'll get all my videos. You'll watch along with us. You'll grab your pencils, your pens, your paper, and you'll have a great time, and you'll learn watercolor, and you'll also learn drawing, which is really a critical part of watercolor. You have to really learn how to draw, and it's not that hard. It's just really 5 or 10 minutes every day, and you'll get it. Within 6 months to a year, you'll be drawing really good, decent drawings if you're just putting a little bit of time in every day. Okay? All right, so we'll see you on the next video, and happy painting.